Hey, welcome. It's the Crypto Sniper. How are you guys doing? Glad to be with you. Welcome to Monday. Yes, Monday, new week, and we're going to discuss Bitcoin. I'm going to be doing in this video, yes, lots in the comments. We read all your comments. We spend all our time removing all the spammy ones as well to try keep a nice, clean place for you to interact as our followers. Always watch out for them, and you can actually report them as well, by the way. But anyway, what are we talking about? We're gonna do a quick check-in with Bitcoin. We're gonna have a look at, yes, XRP. Many of you in the comments, that's where we started with the comments, we're asking, can you do an update on XRP? There's reason to do an update, and we will do one. We will be doing that in this video. We'll also be pointing out a couple of other tokens that we haven't mentioned before, some that are doing well. So AdaFan, stick around. Link, yep, stick around. Those will be passed by as well during the course of this, but it's mainly going to be about XRP that we're going to be covering today. And of course, also, we're going to start with our usual take on Bitcoin, which is just a quick reset and summary of what's it done, because it is the God market. It's the one that drives it all. That's right. And as a result, we must always start with a little bit of BTC. So how's it all gone? Let's have a look. Boom. At our previous videos, if you're following up with me, here they are, here they are, here they are. Previous 3 videos, in actual fact, there's one down here as well. We've continued to assert that Bitcoin is going to trade on up, even when people are in consolidations. Many of them called at the 50 levels that it would pull down. That was 6 days ago. Then a video 4 days ago that we did. We said, don't jump in and out, stick with it, stick with it. And then coming into this weekend, many people were concerned that you would sell off. Let's go a little bit higher. And we said, actually, no, you're going to come out of it higher on Monday. And there may even be room for you on Monday to make an all-time high, potentially. So we've been keeping you long Bitcoin, which has also been the associated favorite tokens that you should be long. But Bitcoin's been one of those that has been the best. By the way, happy new high day on Bitcoin. You're going, wait, what? We haven't yet made a new high on Bitcoin. We can check the chart right now, and you can see that it's only trading $65,000 against the previous high of 68,900 and whatever, virtually 69K. But what I'm referring to, actually, and we'll come back to the smaller time frame chart, is in fact Bitcoin against so many other currencies. This is what people forget. It's not just about the dollar, it's what it's doing for people who live in other lands. This is the Bitcoin, Great British Pound, the great. I like the great. You know, when you're great, you really are great. You really need everyone to say great in front of your name. It's like people that call themselves legends. They tend not to be legends, really. Great. The great British pound, not so great anymore, according to Bitcoin. No. You have made a new high, 51,262 at the moment. Your legacy high was 51,000 on the nose. You are 262 pounds higher than the all-time high of the previous bull market. Congratulations, Britain. Your currency has underperformed suitably that Bitcoin has now made a new high against you. Well done. Keep up the highly inflationary fiat-based work. We're pretty sure that you can devalue it a whole bunch further against Bitcoin and gold and many other things that you've successfully done today. And in case you think I'm being mean to the British, let's not forget our blessed friends. Our blessed friends who really want to win this race. Yes, until recently the second biggest currency in the world. Now they gave up their all-time high some time ago. We didn't bless them for that, but given that they've done an even better job than the British, konnichiwa, squeezy, Japanesey. Yep, they did it in and around Monday, 12th February 2024. Bitcoin, new high against the Japanese yen. Way, there we go. Failing like champions. By the way, soon to become 10 million yens for one Bitcoin. 10 millions. Imagine what little nuggety little fractals of nothingness that little tiny little yen being. 10 million. You need 10 million. Let me tell you, you can't count to 10 million. For a lifetime it will take you, assuming you still want to eat and sleep. But anyway, it's 10 million little yenikis that are going to buy you one Bitcoin coming up soon. That is going to be... How many digits is that? Well, 1 million is 7. 10 million is another 0. You're talking about, wow, 8 digits. Anyway, so that's the Japanese. Bless the Japanese. We love the Japanese. We love them. They're amazing, cute little people. But we don't want to print that. Thank you very much. We're getting too excited. Bitcoin against Let's talk about the Aussie. We've got Aussie fans in the YouTube channel. Hit the like button if you're from Australia. Leave a note in the comment section. Where are you from? Melbourne. I will be, funny enough, in Australia. December/January of going into 2025, end of this year. Family reason sees me going. It'll be my first time to see your beautiful land. Tell me you love me. Tell me you want to buy me. I don't drink beer anymore, I'm afraid. But that there's maybe an audience that we can do a chat. But anyway, we diverge. BTC Aussie, how doeth it? I'm afraid Australia, you've done an equally good job as your pommy friends. That's right, you have in fact taken out the high some time ago, and you are going for the blue line that we put in there. Just one less zero, I think it is, than the Japanese. How many zeros is that? Oh, tiny little Australian dollars. Oh, dearie me. We won't talk about the rand now, will we? You'll get your revenge at that point, but I think it's about 100,000 Aussie dollars. $100,000 of Aussies to get yourself one tiny Bitcoin. So congratulations on another Bitcoin high. You didn't know that. You see, we're highlighting all these highs. By the way, feel free to do the same for yourself on the Canadian and everybody else. Let's do the Canadian. We've got Canadian fans as well. We've got Canadian fans. Where's the Canadians? The Canucks. How are you doing, buddy? Are you as proficient as the British and the Japanese and the Australians in puking out your fiat currency into a realm of absolute nothingness? Are you looking to turn it into a vacuous space of tiny little wingdings that buy you nothing, and you need 10 million of them just to get one little thing of some significance? Yes, you are too. Unfortunately, it seems it's a unilateral disease. We are at 85,437 little Canuckians. Quack, quack, quack. They sound like little birds. They are a bird. The loony, it's called. The little Canuckian birdies, you're going to need a whole bunch of them to get yourself one single Bitcoin. One single Bitcoin, 85,000. Oh my God. Anyway, you get the gist of this. Go and do the rest for yourself. But new highs are actually happening across the landscape in many different currencies. I tried to get a rand chart. It was dodgy as all hell. Probably like the currency. But you can rest assured that it is not doing particularly well either. So let's go back to our Bitcoin against the dollar. So couple of things that you want to bear in mind. This is quite a low time frame chart. So before I go into the 15-minute, we don't tend to do this. We were talking about, hey, how you must just focus on the big structure. So I'm going to take that off right now so it doesn't get in the way and highlight to you, let's go 4 hour, in fact, that every continuation since you broke from here, this was the beginning of the BTF surge. Don't forget, you had that little bit of an inverted, that pullback there. In fact, let's cover this together. Let's cover this together properly. I want to go 1/2 step back. Let's go to an 8 hour. So this is it. Many people were concerned with this grinding behavior that they were going to get a sell-off. You've got a surge. Then you got this broadening structure over here. It was the one time we were concerned and said you would fail. Why? Why did we at this point say you could have a bigger pullback? It's still a bull market. You're just going to have a bigger pullback. Why? Because 47,500. Remember that magic number that I was banging on all about? You haven't heard me say it for a while. Why? Because we're quite a lot further up now. It doesn't need to be spoken about. But we gave you both the 42.5 and the 47.5. Look at that broadening structure sitting there as it grinded through the 42.5 and the 47.5. That literally is a mild ascending entrapment zone caught between the 42.5 and the 47.5, the two key levels of significance you were given by us, that bookended two head and shoulders that were the top of the previous bull market that ended up leading into one of the ugliest, bleediest, nastiest bear markets that we've had, with all sorts of failures. So you got that pullback, and when it was done, it sat beautifully on a legacy target. Look at the support there, 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 a little dip below, and then you had, on a low time frame, believe it or not, we're on the 8 hour now, a little squeezy Japanese, and you got back up here, boom. That's where it got kind of interesting again. So let's say goodbye to the flag and all the pink draws, and go back to the blue jaws. Why do we do these recaps, by the way? Why they're useful? Because it helps you understand how the key levels were super significant. Little inverted, little upside in your left shoulder and your right shoulder of an inverted head and shoulder. That's right. Beautiful. Got its target pumped up. Had another little rest at the 47.5. So don't forget that would have given you your target there. Had another little rest in the 47.5. So we said to you, be long at this point. We said to be long. You will run through the 47.5. And then we said again in the video that was 6 days ago, don't fall for this. This is not a head and shoulder. It's actually a falling wedge. You might have seen that. I might have to drop to 4 hours. Rather, stay long. And we gave you the long form video that said, listen, jumping in and jumping out too often is going to do you a damage. So we can go back to the 4 hour now because we've done a little bit of history rebate. But some people were suggesting, no, we're about to go down. There's pullbacks to 55. We pointed out our friend Mr. Novogratz, and you're now unfortunately sitting at 65 without having done a pullback to 55. We said, no, it's not like that. It's like this. This is grinding. There is clear level of support and buying above the 50K. So that, well, the 50K wasn't, we weren't there yet, but you were sort of iceberging around the 50K, bit of a falling wedge. Let's take that line out. It's a bit messy. That was the falling wedge. You're going to bump, return move, and then run. And then you ran. So a lot of people got folks out here. We said, stay in, stay long. Stay in, stay long. Then we were going into this weekend. You had the Coinbase drama. So this is a short recap of history and we're almost done. And you had the Coinbase drama and everybody were like, oh, Coinbase shut down. And this is the one little spell of volatility you got with the Coinbase drama. And again, we said, stay long Bitcoin. You're going to come out the weekend better than you went into the weekend. The market will have traded up in account of Bitcoin. And that's how it's turned out. What is this blue line that you're sitting on and having a little moment and resting? We need a drop time frame maybe for you to see a little bit more of that. So we will. Let's go down to the M30 and show you, where did that blue line come from? It is, in fact, it is the top of the very first head and shoulders, the 64K, which for me technically was probably the correct high. You did have a 55% sell-off. You went on to 69. It was our two head and shoulders. This was the first one with a slightly lower head. You made a marginally higher high at the 69, which was another head on a head and shoulders. And this was a warning that they were running out of puff on the top previously. And this fooled many people because previously in bull markets, we pumped on a superb spike into 20K and then came straight down, Church's steeple. The topping of the previous bull market was very different. Maybe we need to just remind you, everybody, of that. Again, we go back up just to show you. This was the topping of the previous bull market. Let's take all our fancy lines off. That was the topping of the one bull market and that was the topping of the other. You can see the difference. This was an absolute spike and riposte. This was totally different. Can you see that? Totally different. First macro high, second marginally higher high, then a bear flag at the bottom of your channel. So you were looking for and tapping on the trapdoor, down, and then you broke there, and then the rest was rock and roll history. You went right down to the ground. Different kind of topping. You did eventually get a continuation downside, which again, we biased to the downside there. Very unpopular we became for that view, it has to be said. But this was a different kind of topping. This was real blow off and then real slap back, high volatility, eventually losing most of its value right down to the 6K level before dropping 50% more. Don't forget, this is a log scale chart. So you'd already given up much of the loss. Very different topping. Extended, an attempt to go higher. This was wanted to do more, but the dollar had flipped and changed. So the key question is this, you're right now at that first high, the 64, and that's where we were when we were right back down on the M30. So just a reminder of a couple of key points. You don't always top in the same way. You don't always top in the same way. And that was what was caught a lot of people out in the previous bull market because they thought, but, super spike. No. You had a weak, marginally higher high. That's where the benefit of HVF method and the rules of HVF method put us already on precursory. Hey, we're failing to make much more of a higher high. You're at almost 65. You can't quite do 69. You made 4 grand, barely 4 grand more. And now you started to come back off again. There's something wrong. Okay, so this was the setup that we kind of liked. So we put all our blue lines back. There's the 60 and the 59 that we said would be a bit skittish. That's when you got. So when we previously spoke to you, we said 56. And then we said the 59.5, 60 level will be an interesting interaction. Guess what happened? Blow off, spike, bounce. Lots of zigging. The highest volatility that you've had in the recent last few weeks all occurred in the running of that. However, in the running of that, the blow-off high that first occurred was way up there, which was looking and smelling for that secondary high that we'd seen before. Now you've broken above it. Now it's serving, I suspect, maybe as a short time frame little piece of support, but possibly you reverse back down. I don't know. We'll see. What did we have going into the weekend? Long period of low volatility. We regularly warn you. Very good low volatility for an extended period is often a precursor to an up move, particularly when you're in a secular bull market. You can add that double. Hence why we say guidance, stay long, stay net long, don't get shaken out. Everyone sees weekends as risks. In fact, the city boys and all of those that are getting involved with it often be a bit more defensive on a Friday and then re-put the positions on a Monday. The American session still needs to open. It will come at around 3:30. Maybe we'll see a bit more of a surge from them when they come in. So the HVF draw that we drew for you, we can put back on, and that was over there. That's how we drew it. And this is what we think. This is what we think. This is what we think comes next. So you are in the next upside leg move. They are getting shorter of time frame. We've dropped right down to 30 minutes. Now, as we say, don't trade inside this. This is for information. That doesn't mean you're a buyer and a seller and all of that. But you would have potentially put a stop under that RL3 once you got that little squeeze. Lovely little squeeze within a squeeze there in a very descending format, exactly on our axis, which is our midpoint between the two. First interim was made, then you got a proper little volatility smackdown. Where did it bounce? On our axis. Nice little squeezy like that. Where did it go? It gives you a target roughly to where you are there, which also brings you to the second interim, which is another resting point. Having touched it, you can see you're pausing, touch. You're pausing and chilling out. That was your fast bit after you'd let go of the first interim and you moved straight up. So whatever happens, you could even get a pullback, but then we'll get through it and then there'll be another fast bit in between. Wherever this ends up, another fast bit when we run the 67,281, which is our best guess of where you might take another rest. Now, something to bear in mind. The big target of 69, which is the actual all-time high, it's only us that are giving quite a bit of precedence to the 64 high as well. So let's just bring that into the frame. On the Bitfinex platform, which I'm currently looking at, you can look at Binance as well. I think both of them, they missed the actual 69, or maybe Binance was exactly 69, but they're in and around there. We would potentially see a set of events that could be similar to what happened here. You were approaching a secondary localized high of some great significance that gave us the 47.5, which was the level you met and then had the biggest pullback you've had so far. In the same way, you are actually approaching the all-time high now in dollars. Don't forget, all those other currencies already blown through. Yep, you heard it here. Those currencies have devalued more since the last time they made it that high on those currencies relative to both the dollar and, of course, in Bitcoin. So you got a bit of a smackback of some scale. It was reasonably violent, and there was a small degree of volatility that went with it. Possibly after you, let's say you have a pullback and you rest, and then you go and eventually you run this target, you may get a bit of a blow-offy moment, and you may stutter at the target and get a bit of a harsh sell-off. And a little bit of a period of, wow, we're going to do this. We're really going to do this. We're jumping that line. Don't forget, the dollar is still the most important of all the world currencies in terms of Bitcoin's performance. Most people understand what Bitcoin dollar is. If you tell the price of Bitcoin, it's assumed it's in dollars. It is the big significant one. So you may well indeed get some reaction. So the fact that we're getting a target generation that's here leaves a sort of credibility gap inside which a reversal could indeed take place, and some degree of volatility might enter into the story. Let's put that volatility indicator on there. So many people can't see it in the price behavior unless they've got a little technical line that shows them. So as I stick the historical volatility, you can see it bumped out in there. You can see it right there. So let's clean our face again. There we go. There's the price volatility, and you can see as it started going up there, it started to go up. Beautiful little continuation flag, by the way, over there. Note during the flag, kind of sideways. Didn't have enough time to come down, flatlined, and then another surge in volatility. That was both the up and then the whiplash in the other direction. That creates the volatility. It's like, driving into the back of that 16-wheeler when you're doing 180 in your Ford F-250 and you almost kiss the windscreen 3 times and the back of your headrest. It's a bit like that. It's not particularly comfortable. Anyway, so that's what the volatility indicators, and then you got super low. You can see what I mean by super low. That's why we have the HVF, the Hunt Volatility Funnel. We become interested and get bullish on very low volatility periods. Look at that. Look at that. You can see it now. You can start to see the price behavior. You won't need the indicators. You spot it with your own eyes. My eyes, my eyes. Yeah, so looking good, looking good. And as I say, we're looking for 67281, and then possibly reduce a little bit of the leverage, Keep the investment. We're long. Remember the big long video form. We're not changing, but take a little bit of the leverage, off, take a little bit off. It could, of course, entirely go moon stratospheric, as it sometimes does, and just do a blast rate right through. So it doesn't mean that it has to have a pullback. Don't go and put in the comments, so you're calling a pullback. We don't know. We're just saying the possibility could be a little higher, given that you're approaching the legacy high. You would either, two or three things that can happen. Run the legacy high, which is there, and then have quite a violent pullback. You could do as happened here, and rarely does it do exactly like the previous time, but it can do. Have quite a high vol run, and then bulk at the target, not run the target, and have that fairly reasonable pullback period, having met the HVF target, but not run the new high. And you could just do, as I say, the absolute supermoon strong and just whale it up there for an extended period, and then later have a pullback and treat the 69 as support. And that's, you're not going to be crying about that one, are you? Your investment will sing, taking off a little bit of the leverage, because there's those other options that could play out. Could mean you lock in, you restock up, and if you do get that pullback and another invitation to get in lower down, you get to make the same money range again twice for profit. In other words, if it does drop down somewhere to 62,000, you get to trade it back up to 65,000 again and make profit for a second time on that same profit, even though you were up. You were in this trade from 62 to 65, as we were, and as we try to keep you in it. Okay, so that's a little bit about Bitcoin in terms of what we see. So pretty good, but these kind of all-time highs, you did, as I showed in a previous video, have a little bit of pushback before making an all-time high on the 20K in the previous market. But when you look at the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame, it's kind of small beer. When you get it down to the 4 hourly and the hourly, it's a reasonable amount gets pushed back. You get plenty of chance to get back in, and you can get out. Don't be overactive. But if you've got quite a bit of leverage on, you might want to get conservative, a little more conservative. Keep the investment. Okay, let's talk about the token we said we were going to talk about, which you have been demanding. The XRP army has been demanding. Give us coverage, they say. Give us coverage. It's kind of like, it's one of these funny stories. So look at me, tell you a funny story. It's kind of like, I'm watching a snail crossing a brick. And I'm like, it started, and I can see a little bit of snail trail, and it's done like 1 inch. And they say, more coverage of the snail crossing the brick. And I go, well, it appears now we've gone approximately 7 millimeters since the beginning of the brick, and we're at about 8.3 millimeters now. There you go. Shortest YouTube I've ever done. Let's leave it there. Goodbye. Bye. So, of course, I've waited for something to happen a little bit so that I've got something to tell you. Otherwise, it's kind of like every time you're leaving the comment and you go, tell us about XRP. It's kind of like, well, it's still sleeping. Okay, because it's been poor. It's actually been poor. It's shown, but it's livening up now, and we'll cover that in a moment. But it's been poor till now on the basis of what? It's been poor till now on the basis that other things have been performing. Here we go. We have it now. Let's take some of these Fibonacci's off. All our special work that we've done for the community updates that go into far more detail as to when to get in, where stop losses are, why we're in there, greater understanding, greater detail, stops, risk rewards, and everything. You can click the link below and find out more. But anyway, just the top line for the previews on YouTube, we are now beginning to get to a point where this little structure, and I've started on the 12-hour, I should actually go macro to micro. That's what I always do. So let's go to the weekly and show you again. I have to unfortunately delete my little tool off there. So why are you interested? We got you all excited about XRP, didn't we? We said lots of very exciting things about XRP, all of which we still stand by. In fact, these things are very, very potentially interesting. This is a great macro, and we've said you'll run to $16 and beyond into the 17s on this particular structure if it performs. That is one, and that it's one of the more powerful structures that we most like to trade. And in fact, when you get one on a very big time frame, such as weekly, as we are doing here, it's an absolute gift. It's an absolute gift, and it's where we tend to want to make retirement out money. Yes, greed genie, flash, flash in front of your eyes, dollar signs, calm down, calm down, calm down. But yes, it's a very strong pattern. Potentially, and given the massive move over here and the pullback, and the fact that you didn't make a new high means in fact you've had compression across the top. Simply put, that volatility narrative I was talking about happens across all time frames. You went from super high vol to super low vol, which is why you've been getting so bored and it feels like watching paint dry and snails crossing bricks, because it's gone squeezy, squeezy, Japanesey. And first it gets dull, then it gets super boring, and then everyone stops watching, and that's when the magic starts. And that's kind of how you miss the trade as well. So this is the big boy, and this is what we're playing for, and that's on the weekly. You'll note also that you've been in a very, very tight range, bar for a couple. Let's just leave that little wee spike and test there. You've been in a kind of very tight grinding channel there that has been pretty dull. And more recently, if I take those three off, or yeah, let's take them off, and go with the blue. You've also on a horizontalization, listen to this Oxford Dictionary language he's creating here. You've also been very, very tight range over here, and it's been getting tighter, and it's getting most of the squeezes actually coming across the top, although you were a tad lower there, a little higher there, and a little higher there. So there's a small amount of squeeze along the bottom, but most of the squeeze is happening along the top. Now you're starting to get a little bit perky. There was an article today trying to hype the ETF. All the hope is now about the ETF. When will news on XRP, on the ETF come out? So you got Garlinghouse, Brad popping around and saying he can't confirm or deny, chats. So all these videos are getting dug up, and BlackRock also not talking about it. But the case is, I'd be very shocked if there isn't. And in some degree, you're going to get a similar ETF effect that you've got for Bitcoin, I imagine, happen here for XRP. That's a guess. Could be wrong, but I'd imagine it. And I think given that it's missed a major bull market and came most of the way down, so it's not much better today, let's just do a straight line, than it was barely mid-bull last time, and in fact even mid-bull in the previous bull market of 2017 to 18. So in actual fact, it's well below its high of 18. So that would be like Bitcoin being well sub 20K today in the current market, and not slightly, meaning like 5 or 6K. And of course, it's 65K. So different game, different time, big laggard. And we'll show you the XRP dominance, which has been in an absolute spiller, a thriller, all the way from Manila, heading down, down, down. But possibly that's due to turn, as some of this talk turns to the potential. So now I'm going to take you into technically this little structure right here. This little structure, and the key thing has happened, which is why I'm talking. I've been watching snails race on bricks, and suddenly a line was crossed that becomes fairly significant for me as a technician and technical analyst. And what has happened is this smaller time frame, so we go back down to the daily, we spring him back up and bring it back here, is that we have potentially had a proper move that could give us a third in this fractal impulse to the upside. So we got one, we got two, and here we go. This wasn't quite high enough for us. We were looking for a little bit more. There was a bit of sketchy behavior, but you've got this. Now you'll either dip down a little bit more, possibly small, possibly big, possibly medium, come back down, and then later break, which would push it out a little bit by time frame. Or in actual fact, you've had a rushed break over here and you are already in the breakout. So that could continue up like that. I would imagine from this move, given what we do in HVF method and the targets we generate. More on that, as I say, click the link below to find out how we get to this. But I would imagine that we will be running, because we have a pretty decent target for that, $1.16. Now you say, that's not $16, that's not $17. Remember, this is on the first leg on a much lower time frame. We've got off the weekly, we're down on the daily, and first things first must in fact happen. And in the event of us doing that $1.16, we will have in fact got up to, on our bigger time frame, somewhere around here, there-ish. And that will be a suitably high for our third impulse. That's a little bit strong that I've drawn there. This is just diagrammatically. Don't take it any numbers generated from this sketch as being too literal. If we do that and do that, then we'll be in an exceedingly powerful situation. So for those of you that are wanting it to happen, it isn't about to happen, but the thing needed to make it about to happen may be about to happen. In other words, this little guy could indeed be the beginning of giving you that third and final guy, which after it's rested and paused may indeed then bring to you the thing that's going to happen, if you understand what I mean about all these happenings. So that is how it all starts. You need your three impulses. You've got two magnificent ones. That's what giving you these huge, and the failure to make a new high. That's what's given you the macro target of such bigness. But I still think you're going to have a run. There's going to be some sort of coming off and come back after that run. And then you're going to watch it go crawling on snails again. Snails on bricks again, but it'll be higher up than what it was crawling. This has been the range it's been crawling on bricks for the last 4, 5, 6 months. It'll be at least higher up, and then after that's happened, you're going to start the move that is the move we're all in for, the rainmaker move. But first you've got to do the pre-move. So it's like shooting a bullet. First you have a little explosion, that's a primer, that then causes subsequently a larger explosion that finally sees a triggering event with a bullet going down the barrel. That's what you're all in it for, and that's it. So it's not the beginning, but it's the beginning of the beginning, if that makes sense. Okay, so I think that's quite positive, and any upside will be well received, especially getting above $1 and going up to $1.16. And then I would still say you need that little rest and pull back. So it's not today or next week that the major move starts, but right now the possibility of a medium-sized move that will take you north of $1 could be starting fairly soon in the next few days, weeks, a couple of weeks. I would be disappointed if we hadn't progressed somewhere towards the dollar zone and beyond by the end of this March month stroke. That begun the journey. That doesn't mean having achieved it, in other words, being higher, but hopefully by the end of April that you've done a run through to the 116-ish level, 115, 116, and possibly higher, by the way. That's not the top. We don't mind a higher 3. We just needed to do a minimum qualification for our biggest setup of all. So good news coming. Good news coming. The check is in the post. It's not received yet. It's in the post. So there is a little savage with a spear and a check on the end of it that's started his journey running to your house. But he may get tired. He may need a rest, and who knows how long it'll take before the check is actually whoop, under your door. Okay, hopefully you get that. What else is going on? Well, a couple of things. ADA fans, where's the ADA fans? I did say something about ADA, so I'm going to cover ADA. Let's just give you a quick heads up. ADA, good setup and structure. This is what's happening. There you go. This was our neckline draw some time ago. Left shoulder and right shoulder. We armpit 1 and we armpit 2. There you go. There you go. Big old head. And things are looking far better for ADA. By the way, I did say I'd show you XRP dominance, and XRP dominance, I'm going to jump back. I'm being a little bit irregular and I forget things, so forgive me, but I hate saying I'm going to do something and not doing it. It's not in the brand. Do what you say. So the point on XRP that was quite important is that it's been a laggard. It's been a very frustrating hold for many people. This is on a big time frame on the weekly side. I will put some lines on. This was very early on when it first listed and dumped. So I almost think when that very thin volume and early doors, it's quite a little bit less significant. But these are levels that we drew, the bottom end of the range. This has been, relative undervaluation. If we, I don't want to use the word valuation like there's an absolute metrics for valuing, but certainly under performance zone, more likely a relative value to other cryptos disproportionately low than normal. And these zones have been quite significant of late. And the spiller, it's been a real thriller all the way from Manila, down, 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 down. You've dropped from probably a 3% range that you're modern history, in the last 2 years, that you're regularly bouncing between 3 and 2%. You've dropped right down to 1.5, but you have a hammer and you actually have something that's a green candle. Now, one swallow does not a summer make, and it's early doors, but this is kind of very low. You run a number of lows here on XRP, and if the token's not going to zero, not going to be, absolutely loathed, it's only the 17 extreme, and that was before it started its bull run. If you look at that surge there, this was a bit exceptional. That was when Bitcoin was running and Ethereum was running, and then suddenly XRP played catch up. By the way, that's kind of a warning. It got super, super undervalued. I don't think you go that low anymore because it's a more mature market. You've got to remember there was less money in it. There was smaller market caps, more sketchy trading platforms and wacky wicks, etc. over here. So I don't think you do that. But very soon after getting exceedingly undervalued relative to other tokens, you crossed the entire normality zone and went, and this is log scale. So this, I kind of, by the time I take this off log scale, you will see you went from there to the other side of extreme relative overvaluation. So you went from less than 0.75%, so 0.72, and at its spike high, it was in and around 32. So just think about that level of surge. It's not 32 times, it's more than that. It's 4 over 3 times 32. So it's kind of 44 times-ish, close. So that was an unbelievable move. I'm not saying that you'll get that. I've already said I don't think you dip as low on the downside, and I don't think you spike as high on the upside. It's a much broader park with other projects, more maturity, bigger market caps. But anything similar, even a move like that, were to occur here and just take you to the red zone, you could be talking about going from 1.5 or 1.25 if it skids a little lower one more final time, to around 10 or 11%. And that would be unbelievable relative performance. So that would mean if you God forbid made 1%, I'm just going to do it for simple mathematics, you had a final spike low there to 1%, and you then went to 10 or 11%. That means in a climbing crypto market of total cap, you're doing 10 times more. Now, as I say, it doesn't mean because it's happened before that it has to happen again. But if you look at these blue zones below, you can see it's been quite a while since you were above. And they often followed major periods of being low. So boom, that followed this period of overvaluation, followed that dip. This period of overvaluation followed this dip. And I'm just saying, this has been an extended dip. A lot of this has got to do with allegedly the SEC lawsuit and potentially other things. So yeah, just getting back into the meat of the range between the blue and the red line, or the green and the red line, would be quite substantial. I'm going to take it off log scale so you can see the extent of that. Let's clean our face again so that you can see. This is truly a very unloved dominance right now, and in that stall box of unlovedness, as we go into a bull market with others, and there's still that some element of uncertainty, it is weighed very hard on even this range, on this box, taking you from the high side to very close to similar period since 21 lows. So the potential for upside, assuming you think XRP will continue to exist, which I think it will, is substantial. So the risk of further downside is limited to the death of the project, in my opinion, and then the upside is more. However, we've got to be careful because there were previous stars such as Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, that were in all members of the top 10 that have now fallen substantially out. of the top 10. There was Ethereum Classic. Remember Ethereum Classic? It was a top 10 token. Look, you had to go back a few years to find that, but they've fallen substantially away. In other words, they've lost some relevance to the Johnny-come-lately new tokens. There is always that risk that that could happen. However, despite all of the challenges thrown at XRP, it's always remained in the top 10. Many people forget that in actual fact, at one point it had a bigger market cap than Ethereum. There's Ethereum. It remains in the top 10 at number 6. You take out Tether, it's actually number 5. It has recently been taken by Solana, not recently as in yesterday, a couple of weeks ago, I believe, but it's still quite some way above USDC at 28 and ADA at 27. So it'll still take 6 billion of market cap on ADA to take it out. So it's remained consistently despite all these exceptional outlier challenges that it faced. So overall, pretty good. Okay, back to ADA. Jumping around like a fruit fly. Sorry for that. So this overall for us is your bear market for ADA. There's a complex head for us. We talk about complexity in head and shoulders. Most people would battle to see a head and shoulders in that. And they say, you don't know how to draw head and shoulders. You get all that all the time. No, you don't know how to do price behavior. These things work. We trade them. You can learn and find out what's the target just for this. Well, it's not yet a new high to take you to 160 when you might have a rest. And it's made good progress. And it formed a nice little cluster around it. Let's show you the weekly time frame so you can see that. Again, go back up. We should start on weekly, but we didn't because we're crazy. There you go. But I would expect ADA in due course would get new highs. It's just not been the fastest runner right out the beginning. It's been frustrated by the one it loves to hate, Solana, which tells me Solana is probably more status right now. But Charles has been doing consistently what he's been doing, and I'm sure he will be a strong participant in this bull market. And 1.6 will certainly put a smile back on the ADA fans. So 1.59 from 0.59 neckline over there will cheer you up. It's broken quite nicely since. It's now already at 78. And in due course after that, maybe a small pause, back up and higher. Remember, 1 was a bit of a key level. So we put it in there for you. So ADA's shining at the moment and had a good week or two and has woken up after being a little bit weak on the dominant side as well. Let's do the ADA dominance so we don't have to come back. Just to check, because a lot of you are ADA fans. Yep. You see, so recently you bottomed out. It was quite recently. You were bleeding out consistently here. Let's remove those. So started to get hammers. So this has been a turning in the dominance. So it's important. This is relative performance. ADA had a bad bear market and quite late to the party to get started on the bull side. But now it has broke, slight return move, pump, then a little bit of a loss, but that is almost a hammer there, bit of bidding up and getting, so it's getting going again. It's getting going again and might relatively overperform. But it's going to face Sol, that's also in a falling wedge. So we'll show you that. Sol, bit of a falling wedge, dipping down. But if that breaks the red line as well, it can start going. But I think it might come off a little bit more. So you might get a bit of ADA catching up, Sol easing a little bit, but watch when this one breaks. So it becomes an interesting buy on the low end of its falling wedge, Sol. But ADA is better primed right now. It looks like it's better primed for a little bit. Then many people are fans of links. Lots of these structures in this bear market. Again, complex head and shoulders. You're missing a lot of major reversals if you don't understand them. Big flat bottomed head, low volatility eventually leads to upside. A little bit of a squeezy in there. Boom, boom, boom. Up you go. You kiss the key level 17.5 for us over there. Those are your two armpits, and then you have two shoulders, and that's pointing to 30.29. Remember, this doesn't mean that's the top. It's just where it might have a reasonably significant rest. That will be approaching potentially new highs. It can also absolutely smash through it and then come back for a revisit and then go again. So there's many ways you deal with key levels. You can balk at it, take a time, wind up, smash through it and then you continue for a while. But they tend to get respected. So it's a potential resting point that if you're on a fair amount of leverage, you might want to scale it down a bit, and you might be able to accumulate a bit more after a pullback with a new reversal on a lower time frame. These are big time frame reversals. That's a 3-day chart. So Chainlink, 3-day reversal. ADA still looks slightly better than Chain at the moment between the two, but it's XRP we're watching now, and it's stirring. It did stir because of the article. There was an article on it, and I think that came out literally this morning. Whoops. Oh, someone's talking about the XRP DOM. Yeah, so he's okay. We need to put on the actual XRP chart to see what that article was. And I'm not sure. I think I flashed it to you. USDT. Grab it. There's the article. Ripple's XRP yet to successfully solve the multi-trillion-dollar problem, but that could be fast changing. So a bit of, this is PR actually, if I'm honest. I think it's PR. But that doesn't matter, because in a bull market, things respond to PR. So the SEC, the lawsuit, all of this, the investors are interested in speculating on where XRP is going to go. And to an extent, we are successfully solving a multi-trillion-dollar problem using XRP and integrating XRP into these flows. It's going to drive a lot of demand for XRP. So they're talking up the ETF as something that will give it a bit of zip. Okay, so what have we spoken about today? Bitcoin. We've warned on Bitcoin. In summary, that there's upside. We think this is going to go up and up further, but then we think possibly around the 67 mark. It might bulk at doing the new high. It may just do it and then pull back violently, or it may bulk at it and just stop just before, and then we get some degree of volatility and pushback. Again, remember, if you're a macro and you're focused and you're not using any leverage, this is nothing but sit still, hodl your way through. This is during the unicorn bull phase. Often the hodl your way through is the best way. If you are utilizing moderate leverage in a conservative fashion and you have had a good run, dialing it back even lower right now, maybe even just going to investment after the 67,281 blow off run might serve you, and you will not have the volatility in your equity curve on your various platforms. And you may get a chance to reaccumulate on a reversal pattern lower down to make the new move to the all-time high against the dollar. Also a reminder that Bitcoin's made all-time highs across all sorts of currencies, much in the same way as we cover in gold. The other tokens that we covered, XRP, we are saying is looking interesting, and the smaller structure might trigger the final third impulse we need for the larger structure. So it's not tomorrow, it's not next week, but we could get at least a run above $1 to potentially $1.16, maybe a bit more. That would be well received, but not necessarily the actual move that runs us for the 16-17 target. There may be a little bit more price behavior to happen, so we still push that out, that process out for that macro setup further down the line. However, in the meantime, the smaller setup may finish the draw for us in terms of what is required. Then we pointed out ADA looking tiny bit better than Link, but both of them in macro, inverted head and shoulders, and there are other tokens. However, if you want to find the things that are exciting us the most with the highest interest, you need to then book a call and join our community, or consider joining it on the link below. By the way, don't be sketchy or nervous or too hyper leveraged. We do unfortunately turn people down. It's very important to have profile as well. That's why we talk to every single person. If you're at a certain level and you're not quite ready for it, we'd rather say go and just enjoy the free views or get our self-study or other options that are available. Thank you very much for the support, liking and enjoying. We'll catch you again next time we read your comments, and we will be prepared to update on interesting coins that are broadly interesting to many people. In other words, not too many micro caps that only you care for. And as a result, keep posting your comments. Tell us if the Aussies are in. Tell us, are the British in? What do you say about your fiat proliferation? The great British pound, is it still great? Is BTC 51,000s plus little British pounds together? Is that still great? And of course, just come and tell us where you're checking in from. We love to hear it. Don't forget to hit always when you subscribe. Bye for now.